transition usually means leaving something that we have become comfortable with and move into something different. So, I want to speak a little differently about transition. I think he did such a good job. I don't need to retouch those points. Though he did steal it from mine.
Man.
I don't know if he borrowed it. But I just want to say that if you've ever experienced any major life transition, whether it be positive or negative, the positive would be sudden success, parent for the first time, promotion, good job. Those are good things, but that's still a transition. But then there's also negative transitions, like divorce and separation, loss of loved ones, death, and retirement. Sudden end to a glorious career, maybe due to illness or just old age, or you suffered a major health crisis. You may notice that when you're traveling through transition, you're traveling through a vast land with no end in sight. Getting there is emotional, and sometimes a struggle for the one leaving and for the one that comes on. You think we'd be ready for transition. You think that we would have no problem with it. But life's transitions are difficult. And I was in a unique situation. I had been around there a long time. Matter of fact, I was raised there. Some of the ministers here were there when I was a youth or a young man. And so growing up in-house, so to speak, I don't think that my parents put any regulation or any kind of indication what they wanted me to do or to be. I was able to find my own pathway. But the transition I experienced was one that was entered into with much thought and much prayer. There are several things that need to take place. The minister needs to know that it's time. The worst thing about a church is when a minister needs to go, but he don't want to go. That just breaks up the church. Because he don't know, or he does not realize, or he does not articulate, it's time for me to go. Church leaders need to identify the new minister. A proper time frame for the transition should be developed. A time for both the new minister and the former minister to coexist together. Now I'm saying this if possible. That's how it was for me. I was already there. There are times when death comes in and you have to then hire out, or you have to hustle and realign yourself. There are times when impropriety shows up and a person has to be dismissed, and then you have to realign yourself. But in a situation where you have the time and you have a structure in place, you need to have a time for the new minister and the former minister to coexist together. A proper send-off for the former minister and a proper welcome for the new minister. You know, at the Arlington Cemetery, at the tomb of the unknown soldier, they have a ritual of changing guards. And during that ceremony,
Come on, preacher.
when they change the guards, both guards, the old and the new guard, are there at the same time. This is what my transition from being the associate minister to the co-minister to now the senior minister was like. I was there from the beginning, which can be a positive and a negative. A prophet is without honor in his own country.
Well,
being there, they know your whole life tend to unroll in front of the congregation. And all the older members still remember you as a little kid. And they look at you and they know where you have made your mistakes.
Come on, preacher.
And they have a hard time treating you like an adult. So, did the congregation change? Or did I have to change? Eventually, the congregation did change. But I had to change first. I had to accept being called junior and trying to outlive my child experiences. I had to accept that it was I that flooded the bathroom with the toilet paper roll.
Well,
it was I that destroyed things and broke things.
Come on, Ellis.
That came home from college and disgraced humiliation. It was I that had problems. And I had to understand and embrace that being brother junior was not a negative thing. So now I have grown up and accepted brother junior. And it's definitely true. Prophet is without honor in his own country. In Matthew 13, verse 57. I had to remember that there's never a perfect situation. Or is it a perfect for the former minister also? Nobody really likes being replaced. Nobody likes feeling like they're ineffective or obsolete. Every person, no matter what their age, wants to feel respected and relevant.
Talk, preacher.
No matter what you do, preacher, teacher, Indian chief, educator, contractor, or whatever. It's a delicate situation, and it helps when both parties are on board with the transition. The old soldier, the preacher, must realize that his time has come, and the majority of his work is done. He has to be satisfied with what he has accomplished. The young soldier, on the other hand, must also recognize that the old soldier is still a soldier and is worthy of proper recognition.
Yes, sir.
He will usually have something to say, whether it's in private or in public. General MacArthur said soldiers never die, but just fade away. But they need to fade away respectfully.
Come on, preacher.
And at their own time. The senior preacher will not have been there so long or for such a long time without having earned the privilege to serve. But you find people who have been in churches more than 3 and 4 and 5 years, 10, 15, 20, and I followed Brother Lewis, who was there for 43 years. He was there for a reason. He earned the privilege to be there. And he had a certain amount of respect while there. And therefore, because he's gone, he still is worthy of being respected. Well, you respect him because he's your daddy. There, in the back of my mind, that's probably true. But I also respect him for the work that he's done. I can remember him getting up late at night. I can remember him on the phone. I can remember the phone ringing and him getting up out of bed. I remember the sacrifices he made bailing folk out of jail and doing. He told me, if you go to jail, I'm not coming.
Come on.
But he went and he bailed out members' children out of jail. I don't understand why he wouldn't bail me.
Well, come on, preacher.
You have a mama. So your mama can take care of you.
Preach, Lewis.
That's what I'm talking about. I understand. You know, the old preacher provides a great legacy for us to follow. They paved the way for us by making sacrifices that help grow great congregations. Somebody decided there should be a church. I looked out there on the front of the building. It said, this church was erected 1972. Prior to that, somebody decided that it would have been a good idea to have a church in Las Vegas.
Yes, sir.
And somebody had to break the ground and to do and toil.
I know you
so
are.
we sit in comfort and in a palatial splendor right now. Somebody had to do that. And that man probably, maybe he's here today, but you know who he is. And he passed it off to Brother Gay, and Brother Gay is looking to pass it off to somebody else. But the bottom line is that they've done this work. They've gone without pay. They had to work on regular jobs until you can raise the funds to hire a preacher. They had to teach, preach, and administrate so that we can have the opportunities to focus on just ministry alone. They should not be discarded like an old shoe. They should be revered like an admired dog.
Come on, preach, preacher.
Many of the younger ministers have a tendency to want to put the old minister out to pasture.
Yes, sir.
They want to come in with their newfangled ways.
Come on, Lewis.
They want to do their own thing.
Come on, preacher.
They want to kick him out of the office and put him off the property and not allow him to have a key and all of that kind of thing. Yeah, that's not proper. Personally, have actually been on staff at the Lock Point congregation for over 20 years. And during that time, I've learned a few things from my father. Besides being patient, caring, and understanding. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. See, we want folks to come in here now, these change people, always want to try to change something. If it's been working since 1972 and before, why do you want to change it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. What worked for the former minister, it'll work for me. Educate the brethren. The Brother Lewis believed in educating people and educating ministers and educating, letting folks have opportunity. You have to develop folks. Most of the reason why you're going outside of the congregation is because you haven't developed nobody within the
Come on, preacher. Come on, preacher.
Now, you haven't taught nobody nothing and kept them ignorant, dumb, and ineffective.
Preach, Lewis.
Guess what? You gotta go outside and find
Preach,
somebody.
preacher.
But if you have taught some folks the proper way, then let me tell you something. You don't gotta go far to find your next one.
Preach,
You don't
preacher.
go that far. Well, I'm not gonna finish this because they messed around and gave me a topic that let me go on. Well, encourage your brothers to be spiritually educated and spiritually sound. I mean all brothers. So if the church was becoming educated, once again, 4 years ago when I was a kid, everybody in the pew knew the Bible. And the man in the pulpit couldn't lie or steal or bamboozle the congregation.
Come on, preacher.
But now we're all of us education, those theoretical geniuses in the pulpit.
Ellis.
We now
Come on, preach.
accommodate an unlearned, uneducated pew. Like I always say, that we got a bunch of PUs. There's a lot of mess going on in the church. So, the older minister, he has to know when he is finished. Paul knew when his time was up. The senior minister must know when it's time to retire. 2 Timothy 4:7-8. Paul said, I have fought a good fight.
Come on, preacher.
I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness. And I'm saying the minister, the senior minister, he has to know when his time is up. he has to know when his journey has ended. And it's far worse to stay a minute past efficiency and effectiveness to soothe your own ego. I believe it's better to leave on top of the game when you got a little left in the tank. And I think that when a minister becomes the minister, I'm already formulating my exit plan.
That's right.
I don't plan on getting exited because of womanizing. I don't plan on being exited because of cheating. I don't plan on exiting for any other reason. But when God says my health fails or something else, well then I've already formulated an exit plan. And guess what? We are trained for right now. Maybe we don't have to look that far. We won't have to go way across the ocean and the sea to find somebody. Because we want to make sure that we have to know when your time is up. It just said 0-0. My time is up.
Well, preacher. Well, preacher.
Well, one more time later. Okay. My time is up.